Today I want to talk to you about you. If you look around this room, or whether you're watching online, whether you realize it or not, you are part of a very powerful and influential group of people. You have the ability to shape positive change, and you do that because you are part of a community, and you are part of an education community that shapes the future of our children for everything that's going forward. If you want your students to succeed, you have to understand that everybody has a role to play in education. And that means that it's not just something that belongs to the parents or to the teachers or to the school boards or to your principals or ultimately to the business community that's going to inherit our graduates when they leave our school system and become employed and start contributing to society. You need to start understanding that everybody has a role to play in education. And what I want you to understand, I want you to get there a whole lot faster than what it took me to get to that realization, to understand that everyone has a role to play. Because I have to admit that even before my kids started in the school system, I didn't really understand what that meant. I didn't understand that I was part of a global education community. I mean, really, what did that mean? So I want you to understand today what I didn't know yesterday. Education has the ability to empower. Now, that sounds like a platitude. It sounds like something you'd see in a picture and you might see on Facebook or something posted on Instagram or tweeted somewhere. But the reality is that every single action that you take today, everything that you have done is part of education, and it's part of that ability to empower the decisions that you've made. Your decision to come to this conference today or to be watching online is the fact that you were empowered by something to bring you here, and that empowerment is the desire to learn, to be inspired. In Quebec, we boast one of the best education systems in the country, and in fact, across the globe. Across the 9 Anglophone school boards in the province of Quebec, we have an 85% graduation success rate. And that despite the fact that we have a very diverse clientele that we take care of, that we host many immigrant families that come in whose first language is neither French nor English, that we integrate anywhere between 73 to 93% of our special needs students right into the classroom. And all of this despite very challenging economic times and tough budget cutbacks. We are very successful at what we do because we care about results, because we are very action-oriented. But how are we doing this? How are we accomplishing this amazing change? One of the things that you need to know about me, and they said it just before I came out on the stage, is that I'm the mom of two amazing kids who happen to have autism. Everything that I do, every decision that I make, from the moment I wake up in the morning to the minute my head hits the pillow at the end of the day, I'm constantly thinking, breathing, drinking my kids. Are they happy? Did I do enough to support them today? Did they succeed at school? What's going on when I'm not there? So you can imagine when they first started school, I was terrified. And that's probably true of almost any parent who's starting school. You worry for your kids, with the exception that I knew that my kids were different, and I knew that they were going to require a whole lot more support than the average student. So to understand, you have to know that from the age of 3, my kids were involved in therapy sometimes up to 40 hours a week, with the objective of helping them move past their diagnosis so that they could be the best students possible, so that they could be the best people possible. Because I knew that I wanted them to be lifelong learners, and I knew that when they started school, I wanted them to feel successful, and I didn't want it to be a challenge. And despite the fact that they surpassed huge hurdles, and I'm so proud of all the success that they had, even though when they started school, they were in a deficit position. Language was very, very challenging. So understanding what the teacher was going to be saying in the classroom or their peers was going to be very tough. They couldn't express themselves properly. They didn't have the social skills that they needed. So I knew from the get-go that they were going to be behavioral in the classroom and that it was going to be a big challenge for the teacher to be able to reach my kids and help them succeed. So I made a conscious decision that if I wanted my kids to succeed in school, that meant that I was going to have to get involved. That meant that I was going to have to be part of that school community as much as I possibly could. And even then, I didn't realize that education was part of the community because all I saw was me and my box and my reality and my kids who had special needs, and what was I going to do to help make it better. So I joined the school governing board, and from there I decided that I would join the school board's parents committee. And I volunteered as much as I possibly could in the school. And what I started to realize more and more as the years went by, well, not that many years, I'm not that old, as the years went by, that there were connections happening everywhere. And even the smallest gestures that I were doing were having a ripple effect and having a positive effect elsewhere on not just my kids, but on all the other kids. So what became clear to me when I started to wonder, how is it that we're so successful across our English school boards? It's the fact that when we work together, anything is possible. And that when we decide that we're going to be student-centered, even the smallest change, what that means is that when you're putting your students first, when you start focusing on the things that we know are going to be making positive change, small connections, we're going to have a positive impact, and we're going to have the ability to move past that 85% graduation rate. So I'm really proud that I've moved on from those roles, and now I stand before you as the president of the Sir Wilfrid Laurier School Board, and most recently elected as the president of the Quebec English School Board Association, the voice of English public education in the province of Quebec. But those titles, as proud as I am of them, this talk and my objectives mean nothing, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the early connections that I made at the very beginning when my kids started school. If it wasn't for the principal and the teachers and the support staff in that elementary school where my children went, if it wasn't for them and their belief in my kids and their belief in their ability to learn that they could be more than just a label, that they could be the best students that they could possibly be, I wouldn't be here today. I'm here because of those connections, because of their belief, because they knew that my kids were more than just autistic. They saved them. And by extension, they saved me. So I feel very fortunate, because what's happened since then is more and more connections in the school system. Now that my kids have moved on to high school, my daughter, who's now in grade 7, if it wasn't for the new connections and the new teachers that we've met, even before I even knew who they were, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have known that my daughter took the lead in the school play, completely surpassing absolutely every expectation that I had. I'm so proud. And my son is doing math that I don't even understand anymore, and he's succeeding at it. And he's won more than one School Perseverance Award. He's part of a band. I am so proud. But I wouldn't have been able to accomplish that without those connections, without being part of a larger community. So what I want you to understand today is that even the smallest gesture makes the difference, that you do not need to lose your individuality for your personal objective, whether it be for your student, whether it be for your own child, your niece, a nephew, a friend. You don't need to lose sight of that to be part of a larger education community. You can write the history, not just read the history. And you don't need to be president of anything to accomplish that. I know that as president of a school board and a provincial association, I have the ability to influence policy debate. But I know that as a member of the education community, when you and I work together, we have the ability to influence public opinion. And that is far more powerful than any other thing that exists on this planet. That is empowerment. That is real power. And that is real influence. So what are you going to do to make positive change? How are you going to shape the future? If you're listening today and you happen to be a leader in a school, you already know that you need to make connections in order to achieve positive results for your students. Whether that's with a social service agency, your local fire department, a church, your parents, business leaders, you know that if you can come across a core value and a core idea and you work together, you will achieve that goal, because that's what it means to be part of an education community. If you're a parent, reach out to your teacher. That's a connection. Find a common ground so that you can work together to achieve success for your child, because achieving success for your child means achieving success for other children in that classroom. Make a connection with them. If you're part of a community, you're not a parent, you're a business leader, you're an owner, you're somebody who lives across the street, you're an aunt, you're an uncle, you're a grandparent, you can get involved. Even the smallest gestures will make a big difference. Volunteer for an hour in the school and read to a child who's having some difficulties with their learning. Donate. Participate in school events. Be part of your community. It doesn't have to be a big action. Thank your teachers. Thank your principals. Thank the staff. They're on the front lines and they're working hard every day to ensure that education is viable and successful in this province and for the future. All you have to do is thank them. And everyone in general, take the time to make your voice heard. Be part of your community. Go vote for your school board elected representatives. Make sure that your voice is heard so that you are effectively making a change and a positive step forward in terms of what's going to happen in education. Decide who's going to be your voice going forward. Don't let other people decide that for you. Pay your school taxes. It can be as simple as all that. It doesn't have to be complicated. Because the reality, what you need to understand is that education belongs to the community. And you, ladies and gentlemen, are the community. You are the future of education. You are the most powerful and influential group of people that I know, and I'm proud to stand among you. You have the ability to write history, not just read history. You have the ability to make positive changes. And you never know, even the smallest gesture, the next graduates that'll be coming out of our school board system today will inspire you, because they inspire me so much every time I see them. And they might be the next people standing here on the stage giving a TEDx. Or it might be the next child who's got disabilities and who's going over insurmountable challenges who'll take the lead in a school play and surprise you the way my daughter surprised me. So I ask you, and I'm going to leave you with a question today. What connections are you prepared to make to be part of the future of education in Quebec, knowing that you are the ones that are going to shape it and be part of that future? Thank you.